Government can't stop it. Police can't stop it. But we, the family, we have the power. It lies with us. I had to go through abusive childhood from a stepfather. I had issues with my father. And that, and I guess around my late teens, I started to medicate the pain. For 6 witnesses in a row, I would get arrested. And it was one particular police officer, Bagwan. Bagwan said to me, listen, you're not a bad person. You just got a bad habit. Motivating factors of my daughter that was 4 years old. And she kind of helped me, her life kind of helped me to get my life together. I'm 15 years clean now.
And
yeah, I don't compromise. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't compromise my sobriety. You know, one bad choice and I'm back there. I would take it for granted. You know, and I'm grateful, and I thank God for his hand on my life for all these years that I'm still here to share and to be an example to somebody out there that you can hit the bottom, but you can get back up.
And welcome once again to State of the Nation, where Dr. Stanley James takes a look at issues affecting the community, speaking to some of the influential members of our community, the likes of Trevor Lindsay, we've had Eugene Dean, the likes of Rick Richardson, to get a closer look or a more in-depth look at situations affecting members of this community, where we're headed, where we want to go, and how we're going to get there, which is exactly what Dr. James is hoping to address through these interviews and through these seminars that are being put on as he continues to look at Bermuda and the state of our community. Trevor, thanks for chatting with us. You have been a practicing journalist, videographer first, let me clear the air. Let me state my interests. Trevor and I are like brothers from different mothers. We've had more than a professional relationship. We have been working together for years, so this might be more of a conversation than an interview. Trevor, you've been doing this forever. As we say, since King Hatchet was a hammer, since Adam was a little boy. How have you seen, in fact, tell us about you first, because everybody knows Trevor, the guy with the camera, Trevor, the guy asking the questions, Trevor, the guy breaking news stories. Tell us about you.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm humbled that I'm even been asked to sit and share some stuff, some insight from whence I came. I was born and brought up in the Vacaton, Court Street, Angler Street area. I had to go through abusive childhood from a stepfather. I had issues with my father. And that pain, I guess around my late teens, I started to medicate the pain. Didn't know how to deal with the pain, so I masked the pain with smoke weed from a very young age, sold a lot of drugs because of my environment. Then I started using the environment, and you know what happens, as Scarface says, don't get high on your supply. Addiction took over. I still continued to work. I still sought help. I went into treatment. I went into reach out in 1990 and 1991. A position came for ZBM, and I took it. My experience with Rick Richardson was from 12 years old. So he knew me, I knew him, and there I entered that field. As in my 20s, I was yet working at Hamilton Princess. I took up a course for still photography. So I've always had an eye for camera, still photography. I did a lot of nature shots. I did a lot of different shots. When the videographer position opened, it was just changing from a still shot to motion photography. And it was an easy flow. I still struggle with substance abuse for the longest while, in and out of Bermuda broadcasting. As you know, I love the field that I've been gifted with. Love it. It's not work, it's passion. And here I am today after my struggles, dealing with some of my issues, facing my fears, facing the pain, facing why I medicated the pain, had to deal with my life, look at who I was, and didn't like that I was going down that dark and narrow road. I didn't want to die in that state of where my life was. And I sought to get out. You know, I had motivating factors of my daughter that was 4 years old, and she kind of helped me. Her life kind of helped me to get my life together. I'm 15 years clean now.
And
yeah, I don't compromise. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't compromise my sobriety. You know, one bad choice and I'm back there. I would take it for granted. You know, and I'm grateful, and I thank God for His hand on my life for all these years that I'm still here to share and to be an example to somebody out there that you can hit the bottom, but you can get back up.
you mentioned the difficulties you had growing up, and that led to you medicating yourself to address your concerns and to deal with it. But what was the first experience like for you with that? Where did that situation begin developing?
I saw a lot as a young boy on 4th Street. Like I said, I brought up on 4th Street. I saw riots, 68 riots, the 77 riots. My uncle was a drug dealer, you know, so I saw a lot of the mess that substance abuse brings you. But I saw the drug too. Somewhere along the line, curiosity kicked in. You get older, you start hanging with different crowds, you start getting to the nightlife, and the nightlife brings all of that. And I think that was my first introduction, you know, drinking wine. I used to drink wine, some wines, and I never really drank hard liquor. Wine, smoked a lot of weed, smoked weed from, like I said, very early. I smoked weed every day. So when I tried cocaine, especially when I was feeling nice and kind of tapped, and you switch for cocaine and lift that feeling, that was like wow, magic. And that was the sense of false reality that gripped me. Well, addiction the more you use it, the addiction takes place.
How long would you say you lived that lifestyle for?
25 years. 25 years, from about 23 to 49.
And what was the impact of that on your life? Because G&M is perhaps the top online.
The impact, it should be that, it should be a lot of who I am. You know, despite how I felt about myself, how I didn't have much value for myself, but it showed me my ability of I can achieve whatever I want. Know what I mean? Showed me strength. I didn't see it at first,
Right.
But on this side of my life, I see the strength that I have, the support network that I have. You know what I mean? Had a mother that never gave up on me, you know, and it made me who I am today.
Friends who try to kidnap you to take you to treatment.
Yeah. It was even, you know, somebody would send the police to go arrest me and take me to Westgate and lock him up. And I didn't know wrong. But yeah, you know, I thank you. You know, I had a strong network of some were not happy, didn't like, but yeah, I see some dark days.
But you mentioned having your daughter at 4 years old. Her life influenced you to do, or impacted you to do different. I don't want to say better. I don't know if better is correct too, but to do differently.
Yeah. I heard some horror stories out there from certain individuals whose fathers were caught up, and they were my friends. Guys that were caught up in their lifestyle, and I heard their children, and I did not want my daughter to live that life or show that type of stuff. I didn't want to put that on my daughter. So I really looked at myself and said, I got to do something different.
And that moment of reckoning was when?
December. I think I went downtown one night. It's like 2 cell phones. Somebody went to the cell phone. Downtown, this guy's cell phone. On the camera, and the thing about it, I didn't even see the camera. I looked up at the camera and it's in a dark spot. Bencourt. I kept getting, for 6 Lannister's in a row, I would get arrested. And it was one particular police officer, Bagwan. Bagwan said to me, listen, you're not a bad person. You just got a bad habit. He introduced me to drug court. I took drug court, not even knowing what I was getting into. Oh my God. Not knowing that drug court, I had to stop. I had to divorce. That woman I was married to, that was harrowing. And it was a hard divorce, you know. And when I finally, after 3 months being in drug court, and they sent me to investigate. That was the end right there. It was a hard struggle, 6 weeks of withdrawal, but my feet never touched the ground. So I came from prison, went to detox, went into rehab, and 3 months later, I came out, and one thing about Rick Richardson said, he always told me, get yourself together, and our job would always be here for you. So, yeah, that was 15 years ago.
You and I worked together at ZBM under Rick Richardson's guidance, and you've always been the consummate news person, as was Rick Richardson for that matter. I think his stepping away from the industry was a huge loss for the industry. I know he still practices off and on, but I think his stepping away from the industry was a huge loss. Rick was a mentor to you of sorts. How did that help you on your journey?
He's a father figure that I never had. And that's why I looked at him. I never had a relationship with my father. So using the word, well, daddy was kind of, and my stepdad was abusive towards me. Very abusive. But Rick was that person that showed me a lot of love, and he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. So I had people that was in my corner was yourself. I had some real persons that knew the field that I looked up to. Yourself, Sheila, Darlene, as reporters, as in the field. And Rick, Van Al was a good presenter. You know what I mean? So this type of people that I like emulated. You know what I mean? I was always behind the scene. I didn't never see myself being in front of the scene. Where I am today, I was comfortable with, I'll get that shot, I'll get that picture, I'll get that video, no matter what cause. And my thing was about team. I would help reporters on this story, that story, give my little input, and I would receive it. I mean, so
that was one of the things that I always found amazing with you. You told me about your issues that you were having. I saw you experiencing your issues. But when it came to news, for some reason or somehow, you were able to maintain that professionalism. How did you marry those two? How were you able to live that life you were living, but still be this professional, major team player, the connections you had in the community that enabled you to be so successful at what you did?
It was a struggle. It was a struggle. I didn't know how it was going to end. I really didn't. I wanted out, but didn't know how I was going to get there. You know what I mean? But I had to trust God. My cries to God to help me get out of this mess, set me free. But I even got caught once before in the ZBM van with drugs. I learned from day one, Rick said, don't make a story for the competition because we report on ourselves first. The embarrassment I went through with that, I still had to keep my head up and knew that one day I'm going to get it together. Didn't know how it was going to come, but it came. Drug court was I think it's one of the best things that can happen to individuals. Drug court, the alcohol court, DUI
Yes.
court. These things are very good tools that can help individuals that need the help. Because a lot of times we can't see our failures. We can't see the stuff that we're dealing. We can't see the hurt that we're causing to family, children, community, holiday. Because when one suffers, the whole community suffers. The impact of alcohol or drug substance abuse. I mean, it's a drug court I rate that court. I'm grateful for that court. And when Judge Wu, when he said, okay, it's going to lock me out, that was it. That was it.
Do you think there are sufficient facilities, sufficient agencies in Bermuda to help deal with the issue that we have? Because as you've always said to me, the drug issue and the drug addiction issue in this country is way bigger than we see on the surface.
No, we don't. It's too much red tape you got to go through. I can remember being in New York, and I had to go away on a trip. So there was a place that they would give you they give you a certain amount of methadone, and then you got to go to a clinic. So when I went to the clinic in New York, I asked some questions, about what's the process of one, getting to a point where they're heading off. Can you just walk in and get help? And they say, yes. That's what we don't have in the community. You got to go through bar, you got to go through this place, you got to go to that place. And when a person is at the lowest, you want help now, not 6 weeks
Down
later.
the road.
Not 6 weeks later, because by the time 6 weeks time comes, get back on the road again. Things are doing good. You're making out, you're managing. So we need to cut the red tape.
How much of a hurdle do you see that being to people who want to recover, or who want to get onto the road of recovery?
Say that again.
How much of a hurdle is that? Do you see that as being
it's a major stumbling block. You have to literally, basically, commit a crime in order to, and sometimes we don't want to get there. We don't want to go there. We don't want to have to do something real stupid to get the help. You know what I mean? And it needs to be fixed.
So you
Drinking alcohol, and I mean, even now, good. They got all sorts of drugs. They got lard, you got money, you got these different shatter and all sorts of different stuff that these young people are using now. And it's going to, it doesn't even get worse. Alcohol, we got a serious alcohol problem in Bermuda. Somebody dies from when it gets in an accident, dies from being drunk. At the you go to the funeral, and then after it's a party after the funeral. What did they do after the funeral? They start drinking. So you're celebrating that dead person by getting drunk. Where's the lesson? That's my question. I mean, I had a very good friend, like a brother, that died last year before last. And I refused to go to any of the anniversary parties that bring that type of same behavior. Because if it weren't for the alcohol, brother, still here. Because we need to really look at the behavior in Bermuda that we, quote unquote, perpetuate. Guys get caught drunk driving and they're off the road for 18 months, but they turn around and buy this electric bikes. And they still drink. Where's the lesson? Where's the consequences? Where's the penalty?
Well, you mentioned you had a lot of support in the community. I'm not Bermudian, don't claim to be Bermudian, but I've seen that this community, as harsh as it can be, it can also be very forgiving.
No. But when it comes to terms, and I have to apologize to a lot of people. And once you come to that, it takes a lot to really. It's a humbling process to apologize for things that you've done to someone. You know what I mean? And however they respond, you gotta take it. You gotta give them the opportunity to pour out what you've done to them. Remember, I'm the one that caused. I'm the one that caused it, not them. They were just a recipient of my bad behavior. So, and then you gotta show the community that Bermuda's a small community, so they see everything. You literally got to show them that you are a different person. It doesn't happen overnight because you got some that are bad and yeah, it ain't gonna last long. He'll be back. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you really got to really get selfish and say that's enough, it's enough. You know, and yeah, your family, your friends, those that are important to you, you know, you seek forgiveness and show them that you're a different person.
It's been difficult getting that forgiveness, you think, or no?
At times. It don't happen overnight. It don't happen within the first 2 years, 3 years. It doesn't happen. You got to really prove
that you're worthy of that forgiveness.
Yeah.
But on that very same note, you managed to turn things around 180 degrees. As I mentioned, TNN is perhaps, if not the most popular, one of the most popular and followed online news entities on the island. Do you experience any kind of opposition? You just said that there are people who will say, I'll give them 2 more weeks to be back on there. Have you had to deal with any adversity as a result of this change that you've been able to achieve and sustain thus far?
Of course, people always try to throw a pass at you. You know,
how you deal with that?
That's not me. So I take it. Go on, take your shots. You know, take your shot. Because it's not going to affect me. I'm not that person no more. I'm not that person. That person that you remember 15 years ago, I'm not that person no more. I've forgiven myself.
That was going to be my other question.
Yeah,
forgiving yourself.
I've forgiven myself for the things that the substance, because the more that drug does change you, you become dependent on that drug, especially with heroin. Heroin is oh my God. I never knew. I saw it on the street, but never knew. And I evolved never to use heroin, watching individuals, watching guys die on the street. Yeah.
But again, you've managed to turn it around and TNN again through, you started a new industry in this country, the broadcasting of funerals during COVID. So COVID was good to you.
Very good, very good. I saw and I see things in my mind's eye. You know, I see pictures. I get, and that's one of the talents that I have, especially with the picture. I see pictures in my mind's eye, and I saw it when they went on to just 10 people can come to a funeral. I say, yeah. I wrote a memorandum. I wrote a little something. I took it to Augustus funeral home, and he said, "Whoa." Well, I said, okay, let me duplicate this and take it to all the funeral homes. And Mr. Augusta, David Augusta said, listen, bring me a stack of your cards. And instead of me doing your legwork, I'll give your card to them and then you. So I took the work that I was asking him to do and brought it to my hands out. And once it started, it took off. It made it, and I saw it that it made it easier for people that were overseas, Bermudians, people that were home, seniors that were fearful of coming out and being in the company of anyone. That COVID has really messed up a lot of seniors. And I made it easy for them to attend family members, school friends. I mean, even just up until last week, I had a lady that called me from in the States, and she said, oh my God, I am so grateful for what you've done, because a lot of my school friends, she's been away for 50 years, but a lot of her friends she's able to see and attend a service. So I'm grateful that that dropped in my spirit for that day.
And that turned that broadcasting of the funeral services, the going home ceremonies and that type of thing turned into the news entity, because again, that news is like we say in the business, once that radiation or that ink gets into your blood, it doesn't come out.
Oh.
Explain the evolution, or tell us about the evolution of TNN Bermuda News as it happens. Bearing in mind what you came from.
I worked, as I worked at ZBM, I kept pleading for them to do an online presence, get a website. They didn't want to do it. So at Raymond Augustus' funeral, another good friend of mine said I worked in the hospital. Worked in Hamilton Princess before I came into this field, his funeral, and I streamed that. That was the first one I done March the 16th of 18th, 2016. It was 2016. And that was the beginning. So I started from there, and I said CNN. It's hard, let's put TNN. People always think that it's Travis News Network. It is that, but I had to be professional. I just said the News Now. That's what I put on my documentations, but I brought it to fruition. And I started evenings when I finished JBM, I would just take some stories and write some stuff and put it up after the fact.
Yes.
Because I couldn't, they were my employers.
Couldn't compete with them directly.
And I would never disrespect that organization like that. So in the evening, I would do my stories. And a situation happened at Bermuda Broadcast, and I left there. And I was launched into the deep.
Had to swim or
I
sink.
had to swim. And I used to say that God didn't drop me into the deep for me to drown. So I had to swim. And at birth, TNN, I was going cool, I was doing this, and I was putting it up, weren't getting no pay, weren't getting no, but I was just putting my product out there, getting followers, and my thought, my thinking was this: if I can make ZBM News number one, I done it for them, I could do it for myself. So that was my thinking. No, whoop, there it is.
As they see. But even though you made TNN a successful entity, there were still people who would say, "Oh, he's not a reporter.
Yeah,
he's not doing this, or he's not doing that." And some of your stuff did come across a bit caustic, for want of a better term. How did you deal with that? Because that might have been seen as a cause for somebody to say, "You know what, this ain't working out."
I told them, Gene, it helped me to get better. It helped me to do some online stuff and learn and perfect those challenges that, quote unquote, my public didn't like. So I'm a what do you call it, work in progress.
We all are.
And I'll continue to perfect my craft. You know, I ain't got it. I don't think I'm all of that, but I'm open to just do and get better. I ask questions. I call Rick a lot. He's one of my advisors. You know what I mean? I'm grateful to.
So that mentorship and that relationship remains in place.
Continues.
How important is that, do you think, for young men in Bermuda?
We all need someone, and there's nothing wrong with being open, honest, and naked before to God first, but before man, because there's always someone that can help you for one of the challenges you might be going through. There's someone out there. What I'm going through today is me today, it'll be you tomorrow. And the challenges, I always say my fruit is not for me. My fruit is for someone else to enjoy. And I use, just talking on Monday to a certain individual, and I say, I look at a loquat tree, and loquats are in season right now. This loquats are not for the tree, it's for us to enjoy. Same way I use it. My fruit, your fruit, is not for you, it's for someone to enjoy. So
I like that analogy.
We all need, as an island, and we all need one another. So, another thing I use is Jesus had 12 disciples. Out of those 12, 3 he was tight with. And out of those 3, 1 he shared everything with. So I use that analogy. I pick that person and I pour my heart out. And I seek some clarity, some advice, and some help.
One of the things you keep referring to, you keep mentioning God, you keep referring to biblical images and such. How important was faith, or how much of a role did faith play in the recovery and the emergence of the new Trevor Lindsay, or the the Trevor Lindsay that was under the layer of all that stuff, the different layers of all that stuff, and was able to come to the fore eventually.
God's always had his hand in my life, and I recognize, I realize it, and I accept it today. My granny was my grandmother was that woman of God that was the Bible, that woman of God in my eyes. And she took us Sunday school. Everything was. We went Sunday school, we went big church, we went Salvation Army, and Sunday nights when my granny was singing at the church, we had to sit around the radio and listen to her. So Sundays, we were introduced to the things of God. We learned about in Sunday school. We had vacation Bible school. We had Sunday picnics. So all of that stuff that I learned from young, I carried as I prayed. I used to pack race, so I would pray before I go up. As I'm riding, I'm praying, Lord, watch over me, keep me. You know what I mean? Even I shared in another interview that even in the midst of my mess, some of the darkest days, but a knife on me, a hatchet on me, and I'm going to do
Nonsense.
Yeah. And I would walk and say, yea, do I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will sure know you. God, I know you're with me. So keep me.
So you're intent on doing evil, but still talking to God.
Yeah. He said, if you make your bed now, it's with you. So wherever I go, it's with me. Got me? So yeah, faith has been a very important part of my life. I know there's a God, but without a shadow of a doubt. Because I should have been dead. I should have OD'd a lot of time from that heroin and methadone all at the same time, but God kept saying, at such a time as for me to share today a powerful and how great God is.
Do you think we've lost touch to a certain extent, lost touch with that to a certain extent here in Bermuda?
Very much. While allowing the world standard things of the world to be more attractive than the things of God. And we need to get back to that. We want to save our children. We have to introduce our children to the Almighty, genuine Lord. And if we do it now, then go on. They will always know, my mama or my daddy, it was how good God is, or what God conditions.
Train up a child as and you're a living example of that.
Really sure.
When they get older, they will not depart from it.
Right.
You've come right back to where you started.
Full circle, and I give God thanks every day. My children, the same thing is, imagine this, not imagine, this is the reality I'm dealing with. The same things that I was taught as a young child, I'm now doing from children. They go to Sunday school. Make sure that they get Sunday school. We pray as we sit and talk for dinner. We talk about their day in school. I do it every day when I sit down. We sit and have dinner together. No phones, no laptops. It's just one-on-one time. Some of the things that I've done.
But that used to be par for the course. That used to be the normal run of things.
If you retire to it, we want to have a good, successful society, it needs you to return to God.
Talking to Eugene Dean, and he was saying much the same thing, in that we need to go back to, as successful as Bermuda has been financially and economically, we need to go back to those grassroots things that we did. The community activities, planting your backyard garden, coming together for dinner as you describe you do with your children and such. How do you think we get back there? We know what we need to do. How do we get back to doing that?
We as the elders, we just need to do it. Stop the lip services, do it. What the elders? Lead the children the right way. We're going to be the examples. Children emulate their parents. I know that for a fact. You can't tell me that something's bad for me and you're doing it. I can't tell my children, something's bad for them and I'm turning around and doing it. Then I say, what? Hey, it's still better. It's okay. Then they try it. So, yeah, we just need to just lead our children, our neighborhood, have patience, and have a lot of love and show mercy.
as you've been shown mercy.
Yeah, a lot of mercy too. Yeah.
If you had one piece of advice to give to the Bermudian public, to give to the community that you're such a significant part of, what would that be?
Family is very important. Family is always first. Your profession, your place of business is not your provider. God is your provider. Always know that. I truly believe that God is my provider. Not that place, not this business, not where I work. So I do work at the hospital. That's not my provider. God is my provider. The word of God says that if I feed the fowls of the air that neither spin nor toil, how much more will I provide for you, or you of little faith? I take that scripture to heart in Matthew's. I take it to heart.
Bet you all didn't know that Trevor knew the Bible like that, did you? Thought it was just a newsman and a former hustler. That wasn't the real Trevor. This is the real Trevor.
Yeah, man.
Trevor, you mentioned the drug court and the influence that has had in your life, but we live in a community, as you mentioned as well, that's very small, very close, that people don't like to talk about this stuff. How can people go about getting the help that they need then?
Pride comes before a fall. Well, very proud group of people in this little island, but you need help, ask for it. Don't suffer in silence. And a lot of us, that's where we're at. I can remember, I said one point in my life where difficult position, I went to financial assistance. And I asked them, I got help. I was in on financial assistance for 9 months because I used it as a stepping stone. And if I wouldn't have done it, then you resort to a whole lot of bad stuff. But we just need to humble ourselves. We need to ask for help. There's a lot of people that are hurting in Bermuda. Find someone you can call and be open and share, and each one will help the next one. There's help out there. We used to be that place in Bermuda where we helped our neighbors, we helped our sisters, we helped our family. You know what I mean? If you're struggling, ask for help.
Do you think, you mentioned that pride perhaps is what is preventing people from asking for help?
Suffering in silence because of pride. And it's bad in Bermuda. It's real bad.
When you say it's bad in Bermuda, I mean...
You heard a lot of it. We're a proud bunch of people. Not all the time you're going to be up, you know. Not all the time you're going to be up. Sometimes you're going to be down. And in order to get back up, you got to ask for help and hand.
But the problems that you are alluding to, how bad, I mean, that's the only word I can really use. How bad do you see those situations? Because you're in it every day. You're dealing with it every day.
I see it where a lot of people don't have a lot of food. You know, things are not plentiful as how they used to be. Struggling with a light medication. You know, just humble yourself and ask for help. Put that pride aside. You ain't got to tell everybody. You don't have to tell everybody. Reach out to someone.
Do you think that help is readily available, or again, there is that fear, oh, people are going to know my business, I don't want people knowing my business, and maybe that's not pride, maybe it's fear.
Mm-hmm. It's either one or the other. But if you don't care, I'm to the point I really don't care. I didn't care, and you got to get to that point where you don't care about what people think, because today it might be to me, tomorrow's you. We don't know where certain things in life where life shows up. You know what I mean?
And life does show up.
Yeah, every day. Every day. Today you're out, tomorrow you could be down.
Let me ask you to put your newsman hat back on again. From covering events in this country, being a newsman for a very, very long time, what are the shifts you've seen in this community in terms of morality, in terms of culture?
We're becoming more cool-hearted people. Where quote unquote, if it's not on your doorstep,
It ain't got nothing to do with you.
Don't bring it over here. And we were never like that. You know, our neighbors hurting to be hurt. We become judgmental. And I know that things change, trends change, times change. I notice on how the dress code of today is not like the dress code of yesterday. But I'm not trying to say that you accept it to a certain degree, but you don't go and point fingers, because we were once young, and some of these things that our young people are doing, we done it too. Even worse. But today you have social media, you have phones with cameras. So that's the only difference that we have today. We gotta always remember that we were young once before, and we done a pack. Yeah, you know, you had multiple relationships, not married.
That's what exists to do.
It ain't changed. It ain't changed. It's just the process that changed. It's just the people that changed. But the same behaviors. I mean, come on. Anyway, I'm not even with it. But anyway, people had 15 and 15 children, a few different men. Hello? Ain't nothing changed. Always remember you were young. Stop being judgmental. Too young. Go.
Do you believe that the Bermudian culture as it existed when you were younger, or when you were coming up in Bermuda, coming up on Court Street, do you think that culture has changed? Because I remember meeting people in Bermuda who told me that things like they can't stand the Gombeys. They don't understand why we support the Gombeys. Why is that the only thing that we talk about when it comes to about Bermuda and its culture and that kind of thing? Do you believe that the Bermudian culture has changed drastically in the years that you've been, you based on your experience in the media?
The culture shifted, but Gombeys are the state, huh?
I just use that as a reference point, but
the Gombeys was a way for us to, especially as children, we end up from one place to the next and enjoying those drum beats. But the culture has changed.
I mean, for instance, you saying you went from one place to the other being a member of the Gombe troops. But we have a situation where there are young men who cannot leave one part of the island to go to another end of the island, 21 square miles.
That part of the culture, we need to get a grip on that. But we're too small, and it's been too long that we have not tackled this issue of this gang violence and our young black men killing one another. We need to get to the crux of it, because it's just destroying us. It's sad, and a lot of times your family members, because you got family that lived in time and to the offsprings end up, since some of us enjoy this, you're still family. And I think it's a travesty that, parents and family members didn't get these boys by the scruff of the neck and say, listen, that's your cousin. That's your brother. That's your relative. Like, stop it. Like, what is it all for? Because government can't stop it. Police can't stop it. But we, the family, we have the power. It lies with us.
Do you think we have the wherewithal, even the willingness to address that in this community?
That's a good question. Like I said, if it's not immediately on your doorstep, and then, not my son syndrome, sweep it under the carpet or get those children out of her. That's the first thing. When something happens, first thing I see parents do now is finding a way, go to gang reduction coordinators and find a way to get them over to England. So he didn't send any problems out of Bermuda. Problem still exists. Solve the problem.
What is it going to take to solve that problem? We say we need to rely on the families, but then you have parents working 2 and 3 jobs to make ends meet, not perhaps being able to be there for their children when they need them. So the children are relying on other entities, other means to occupy their time.
That's $1,000 question. I don't have the answer for that one, but I know for me and my house, I'm going to tackle those issues. Yeah.
How important are fathers in all of this, you think?
Fathers are, that's where the buck stops right there. Men have to take their rightful place. We have a lot of men that are, and then you have women that make it hard for some fathers, that in their emotions. You know, I've always believed in, and I remember in a class that I took, two people lie down, one gets up with feelings. 95% of the time, it's the female. That 5% is the male. Female, you gotta stop. Man number one, let me give the man. Man number one, you need to take your rightful place and be responsible. You lay it down. This is what came out of that. Deal with it. Be a man and take care of your children. And women, relationship don't work. It breaks down. Stop using the child as a pawn. Stop using the child. So we have getting back to the father, because you know who suffers in the end? The child. We can take the attitude and say, listen, I ain't got to deal with this. And that's where men, women are emotional. Men deal with logic. If it's not going to go that way, I'm not dealing with it. Check it later. Don't want to hear it.
So do you believe that men are feeling their responsibilities to their sons in particular?
Yes.
Children in general, but their sons in particular.
And I'm a product of that same environment, a product of it. I mean, I remember my 40th birthday, I sat down, I had a meeting with my dad and some of the stuff I found out. And I said to him, now that I know what happened, I would have probably reacted the same way. And I had an understanding, I had empathy and understanding towards him. It didn't stop the fact that what I wanted was a relationship. You know what I mean? So we got to do a lot of self-evaluation and put that stuff on the side, and for your children, for the child, you know, put all that stuff on the side.
Thanks again, Trevor. Much appreciated. So continue to partake and participate in these seminars that are being put on by Dr. James as we continue to address the state of the nation, address the issues that affect us, highlight them, discuss them, see what can be done. And the aim, of course, the objective, of course, is to arrive at solutions that can only be found within us.